In September of 2012, a dynasty was born. A group of one and only powerful, eccentric, and charisma. This was the first steps to the Nexus Fantasy Football League. So it's about 2012, and we're sitting around and we're thinking, is it a possibility to do something this year, maybe a little more fun? Because we had football season up and coming in about like a month or two. It might have been about 2 months, and they came up with the idea of maybe starting my own league. And I get in touch with a good friend of mine, Alex, and I discussed the situation. I discussed my idea with him, and he's down. He's all for it. He's like, it sounds like a really good idea, and we knew it was going to be hard to put this all together. And being being a fantasy football somebody that's played fantasy football for a long time, I thought, all right, can I be someone that can run a league? And from there on, everything kind of went a little smooth. But there's going to be bumps in the road, and finding the players was the biggest bump in the road, to be honest with you. Um, but otherwise, I mean, things happened, and people, we had a decent season. So guess I'm not too upset about it if you really think about it. So, we decided that we're going to start this fantasy football league this year. It was 2012. It will be known as the Nexus Fantasy Football League. And things are going to change. Things are going to be different. It's going to be a lot of fun and exciting. And I'm hoping that everything is going to be a lot of fun. We got a great bunch of guys. And we have 3 women involved in this league. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun, we'll see what happens. I mean, there's a bunch of friends coming together, just having a good time, playing some fantasy football, and I can't see where anything would go wrong. So I'm pretty excited about it, really, to tell you the truth. Many obstacles went through during the Fantasy Football League. There was so much issues going back and forth and back and forth. But the thing of being a commissioner is just one reason he was able to stand up and take control, and that team being the commissioner of the year of the Nexus Fantasy Football League. That was probably the hardest thing, That was probably the most tough, because being able to run a fantasy football league and, having a personal life, it's very difficult. You got to look at the fact that, at that moment in time, I was working. I had a home, and I was paying rent and bills, and I was dating this wonderful person, and we were in the process of working and building a future together. And we were hoping that things don't get in the way. Fantasy football did play a little factor when it came to that. Emotions grew, and anger would occur because it's competition, really, and in competition you had to figure out exactly the next step per se. And tensions grew, and friendships were tough too, trying to keep friends around, and constantly bragging and throwing things in people's faces. It became really tough for a lot of us to pursue anything else in a friendship way. But to tell you the truth, I mean, it all at the end all comes back to where we're all just back to normal and everything. And and then that's just how a lot of things worked out. Well, enough for us in this league. Being a commissioner is not actually the easiest thing to do. I mean, you see the guys on TV, and I'm sure their jobs are extremely hard, but being a fantasy football commissioner is not easy at all. And actually, I think they have it easier in the NFL, MLB, all that different sports. And I think fantasy football commissioners actually have the hardest job, because your job now revolves around players. You have to physically take what they do and make them pretty much, they're under your wing. You have to take them to that limit of what you feel they can do, and it's not easy. And a lot of people actually think it's It's easy. It's really not. Um, so, being a fantasy football commissioner, I think, is one of the toughest jobs to do. I would say, if anybody ever wanted to be a fantasy football commissioner, you should do your research on it. It's really tough, man. You should at least have a bachelor's degree just in order to be a fantasy football commissioner. And being able to take the group of people, and expanding their horizon of football and trash talk and all this other stuff, it was a stepping stone that I think we may have not even reached the peak yet, but I think that we are going to reach that peak soon enough where people are just like, this is the fantasy football league that people want to be a part of, because it's just based on a lot of things, and it's based on a lot of knowledge, but really based on personality, and that was my major thing with being the commissioner, was personality. Struck a chord is probably a term I wouldn't use. More like struck gold. I mean, it was just insane how, when we first started, everything just grew, and we just did so much, and it was fantastic, man. It was great to be there, and I mean, you can't ask for anything better than a bunch of people coming in and having a good time drafting players, and then we got into a situation where, hey, look, we're gonna play some fantasy football right now, and nobody really knew the toll that it was gonna take them. Um, so I mean, I didn't realize the toll it would take on me. But the fact is we knew that it was gonna be fun and exciting, but we didn't know how much. And to me, that's what really count. That's what really mattered, and it counts the most.
After a chilling defeat from Ryan Leaf's comeback, Tommy said that there was one thing he had to do, and that was look deep inside and find the inner effect inside. And that's where he was finally known as the Smooth Effect.
The smooth effect came from a wrestling video game. A lot of people know this, but the smooth effect. First off, I used to always make a character in wrestling video games. I used to name my character T.J. Smooth. My name, Tommy James Chilecki. I usually dropped my last name, and I kept my first and middle name as Tommy James. For some reason, I always had a little click to it. So I came up with this name of T.J. Smooth, and the finisher I used to perform was entitled the Smooth Effect, and it grew on people, and a lot of people started to say that my personality became that much of a smooth effect as I would lay down the smooth effect, and it could fit, like it fit, and I'm like, maybe I should work with this and use it as a persona. In the first season, I didn't do that. We were going from Touchdown Bundy to the Heffenators, and I was more not really into my personality at that moment. So I decided that this year is going to be different. I'm going to use my personality, and everybody considers me the smooth effect himself. So why not do it? Why not throw down and become the smooth effect and let it be known, since I'm already known as the smooth effect? It feels perfect and it works really well. So it's gonna make everything much better and much easier, much fun to play. And I'm just gonna make sure they all feel the effect.